All right. So welcome, everyone. We are glad that you're here. As you know, we're starting off tonight with Jacqueline Ledermann, who is going to talk with us about some federal grants, which when I first started here, I'm like, what are federal grants? What does this have to do with me? Here's the good news. Free money to learn cool things and get you set up to maybe get a job with the federal government at the other end of it. So Jacqueline is a staff person on campus. She's in the, I never remember the name of your office. You can't remember my title. I can't remember the name of your office. But the International Education Office in the Science Library, where there was a fire drill earlier today when I was speaking in her class. And she is the representative on our campus that talks about all of these different programs and helps students with the applications. And so I love to have her come to the class just so you can learn about these different programs. And it really gives you a chance to hear about them and see if this is something you might be interested in. So I'm going to turn it over to Jacqueline and take it away.
Thank you so much, Joan. I love talking to Joan's class every semester. Now I can say Joan and Christina's class. I'm very happy to be here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm on the spotlight.
I know. I spotlighted you instead of pinned you, but it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, that's what I meant. I don't like being
I know, but they can't see you in the room. You're really small, so
it's okay. Now you can see me. Anyway, it's so nice to be here. Thank you, Joan, for your introduction. Referencing my office as the International Education Office is totally fine. We are known as the Center for International Education and Global Strategy, better known as the Study Abroad Office. We're located in the Science Library next to Career Services if you're ever in the vicinity and want to stop in. So I do teach here at the university. I teach globalization studies, and I do a variety of different things within our international education department. And one of them that is very important to me that I really love and enjoy doing is managing external grants and scholarships and fellowships for UAlbany students. So all of the grants that I manage, you have to be a US citizen to apply for. And that's difficult for me sometimes to mention because I do work with international exchange students. And unfortunately, a lot of international students, will find out about these grants and come and talk with me. But because they are Defense Department and State Department grants, you have to be a US citizen to apply. And the other prerequisites for application vary depending on which grant you're applying for. Some of them, you have to have your bachelor's degree in hand. So that would be the Fulbright grant, which I'll show you the website in a few moments. But the one I spoke with Joan about briefly this morning that I want to highlight for all of you is the Critical Language Scholarship. So these, and I'll preface everything too by saying that the opportunities that I advise for are ones that you definitely should consider. Even if you are a freshman or a sophomore, I think most of you are junior status and senior status, so they really do relate to you. But the Critical Language Scholarship is for freshmen through PhD students. So I work with the full gamut of students and their what they're doing here at the university. The CLS is a language intensive program. So it's more of like an acquisition study of a critical need language. These critical need languages are determined as such by the US State Department. So they want US citizens to have international experience, international exposure, learn some beginning language skills in a particular language, or follow up to gain more intermediate or even an advanced level language skills if you have some already. The grant takes place in the summer. So the application just opened late last week for summer 25. And it's like a 6 to 8 week program abroad. It is fully funded by the State Department. So there's no out-of-pocket expense and you get paid on top of that. So it makes for a really, really positive, I think, experience for a lot of students. It is a nationally competitive grant. but we are getting lots of CLS awards here at the university. I had 3 students abroad in summer 24, one in Korea, one in Jordan, and one in Indonesia, which is really great. And I'm hopeful to get more and more students to think about applying. And I'm going to share my screen. I'm just going to pull up the CLS website. There it is. I should have shareability. Perfect. Okay, excellent. Joan, can you see this website?
Yes,
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it on the screen. Perfect. So this is the actual website. And like I said, the summer 25 program is open. You can click on this hyperlink right here to start an application. But what I wanted to show you on the website, and then also play you a quick video if that's okay with Joan, is on the homepage, you will see the languages offered. Some of these languages, you do have to have a couple of semesters behind you before summer 25. So if you're interested in Korean, which usually is the most popular CLS language that students apply for, you need to have 2 semesters. Now, if you're taking, say you're taking Korean 101 now, and then the spring you're taking the successive class for Korean, like 102, you would be eligible to apply now for Korean because you would have those 2 semesters done by the time summer 25 comes around. That's really awesome. I'm going to check. I haven't gone through all of them because I'm in the middle of Fulbright application season. So all of my candidates are submitting big grants right now. So I've been so busy that I haven't actually looked at all of them, but they did change some of the requirements. I think Russian might have changed to 2 semesters. It used to be 4. I think the only one that's stayed at 4 is Japanese, but I'm not certain. Arabic is usually 2 semesters. Chinese is 4. Hindi, Indonesian, Persian, Portuguese, Swahili, Turkish, and Urdu. All of those languages do not need to have any prior study or knowledge. So your application, when I work with you on your essays, is tailored to review committees why you think it's important to gain language skills in this particular language. How does it relate to you personally and professionally? And what are you thinking of doing long term, like as a career goal or other academic trajectory? And how does this language fit in with it? Also, how do you feel about being a quote, American ambassador abroad? And what do you hope to learn from other cultures and share about your own culture and American culture? It's a very intensive language program, but there's a huge cultural component to it. I highly suggest, and I will maybe have Joan throw the CLS link in the chat for all of you. And I can also get your names from her as well, and I can send a follow-up email. But I highly suggest you read through kind of, what CLS is about. There's a lot of information on the website. I don't have time to show you all of it, but I'm trying to hit the main points of that it's funded and that you get paid in addition to that. So it's a really, really cool opportunity. The other thing very quickly to mention is there is a link on here for CLS Spark. CLS Spark is a brand new initiative. They started it kind of like out of the pandemic. It's kind of counterintuitive in a way. When it first came out, us as advisors were like, why would they want to do a CLS grant on their computer from home during the summer when they could apply for a language to go abroad? CLS Spark was offered for Japanese and Russian and Arabic, where students didn't have any familiarity and couldn't apply for the regular CLS because they hadn't taken courses in those languages. They have opened up CLS Spark now to include Japanese and Koreans, which is huge because there's such a preponderance, I think, of people that want to learn Japanese and Korean and can't apply for the regular CLS because they haven't had any formal training. So this is pretty cool to think about. The other thing that I did have a couple of students, one did Chinese and one did Arabic for Spark 2 summers ago. They said it was actually a really amazing experience. They still did cultural games with their fellow students. Like my graduate student that got Arabic, She said her instructor was in Egypt, and it was really fun because he would take them on like tours of his city with his cell phone, and they would do like games, and like they would learn a lot about Egyptian history and practice their speaking skills in a restaurant. And they really do some creative things. One thing about Spark that's really cool too is if you get the award for Spark, you fulfill it in summer 25. The following summer, if you want to apply again, say you do it for Japanese, you are automatically a semifinalist to go to Japan. So my Arabic Spark awardee finished that. And then this past summer, she applied again. Last fall, she applied for summer 24 for Arabic. And she was obviously an automatic semifinalist and ended up getting the award. And she went to Jordan for the summer. So this is a way to kind of, get maybe the language you really want, or you could apply for regular CLS for the other languages that you don't need to have any prior experience in. So it's really up to you. And I don't mind talking with students too, like through some of the pros and cons of both of them. But really like look through even the CLS Spark overview, the program structure, all of the benefits, and they have obviously all of this for you guys, with the regular CLS program. And it's fun to even look at some of the languages, like as you're trying to determine like, what you'd want to do. They are very like effusive in kind of talking about the popularity of the language and the necessity of people learning the languages. Right here, like you apply in Korean, requires 1 year prior study. So if you have those 2 semesters, you can. But if you really want to go for Korean and you've always been interested in learning it, but you've never taken a course, you can apply for Korean through Spark. So that's a way to kind of get around it. I want to just show you guys a quick video that they made recently about CLS. So I'll start it and then I'll ask Joan to let me know if she can hear it. But I don't think I have to stop the share. We'll see. I think I might have to actually. Let me see.
You probably have to.
Yeah, I did because I had to do share sound. Yeah. All right, let me start it.
I studied Mandarin Chinese in Hainan, Taiwan.
I participated in CLS Russian in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan.
I studied CLS Korean in Busan, South Korea.
I was a CLS Swahili recipient in 2022. I participated virtually in Arusha, Tanzania.
I studied Hindi in Jaipur, India.
The CLS program is an intensive and immersive language program offered to U.S. college students, both undergrads and graduates, for languages that are deemed critical to the U.S. foreign relations.
As a secondary educational teacher, I tell my students to study other languages, look into languages that are indigenous in Africa, Asia, and the Americas, that it's very crucial.
CLS is a rigorous language and cultural immersion program. But in addition to being a language learning boot camp, it's also a personal growth boot camp. So
very intense, very immersive. In the moment, you're completely immersed in the culture, very fast-paced.
I was given the opportunity to give the final speech for my class level, which was something that I never thought I would do because when I got to Korea, I couldn't speak Korean barely at all. I gained a new form of confidence from doing that.
CLS is a way to get to know yourself truly and face yourself and a lot of fears, because communication is key, and knowing various languages, especially critical ones, are important and imperative for the future.
Language Partner Program was one of my favorite parts of the summer because I was able to build my vocabulary outside of the vocab words that we learned in class, but also learn more about Taiwanese culture and especially how a young person's life is like in Taiwan.
Language is one of the most important ways that you can connect with people.
We saw so many things. We went to bazaars, symphony orchestra. Felt like we saw all of Bishkek together.
My language partner, she was amazing. We even tutored each other in different languages.
The relationships I was able to build with my teachers, language partner, host family, and also my cohort mates.
Even though we studied in different countries, studied different languages, we all have that one thing in common, and it's so easy to talk to them.
That there's no failure in language learning.
CLS was one of the best experiences I've had in my life. It pushed me both in my target language, but also just as a person.
It prepared me to do farther language learning and also to enter a PhD program.
If I had to summarize my experience, I would just have to say life-changing.
Anyone who's going to apply again, keep applying. Just do it.
The more we know languages and native languages, the more people will be receptive.
Being a global citizen, it means that you genuinely care for the good of the global community. Language is one of the most important ways that you can show that.
Okay, so I hope you guys liked that little video. I know it's just a promotional video, but I think, you know, it's really well done and shows real students that have just completed the CLS, so it's really nice. Joan, do I have a moment just to show them Fulbright and Boren?
Yeah, you've got plenty of time. Take as much time.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Plenty of time.
So skipping around, which is what I do. I'm just looking for my Boren Awards. I'm going to share my screen again to show you another grant opportunity, scholarship opportunity, excuse me, that's open currently. And this is the Boren Awards. This is also for language immersion and to acquire language skills. Boren is a much larger, much more comprehensive application. I should have mentioned with CLS as well. It's a very straightforward application. It's not something that's going to stress you out. And I'm your advisor. I can help you with your essays. And make sure everything is complete before you submit. CLS closes around Thanksgiving, maybe the week before Thanksgiving, and you know how quickly that comes up. You know, we're already in second week of October. It's like 3 short answer essays and a personal statement, which is 1 page, and your transcript. That's it. No recommendation letters, nothing. So it's very straightforward, and it allows me to have more time to work with individual applicants on their applications. For Boren, the deadline, I believe, is the very end of January or early February. It's open now. Boren Awards give a ton of money as a scholarship to undergraduates who want to study a particular language abroad. You have to find a program abroad to apply for, like a study abroad program, and then you would apply for Boren for funding. So it's a little trickier to understand. I did have 2 Boren fellows that were grad students actually in Rockefeller. One went to Azerbaijan to study Turkish because at the time Turkey wasn't open for study abroad students, and another Indonesia to study Indonesian. So this is another website that I'll share with all of you, and you should look through it, look at the application criteria, think about maybe you do want to study abroad. Maybe you haven't thought about it. If you're first semester junior, then I would suggest you definitely look into the Boren Awards, because you can study abroad maybe in Japan and then apply for funding through the Boren Awards to stay even longer or to pay for your program. So it's a little trickier in terms of how you acquire the actual abroad, you know, the placement type. But I have so many wonderful colleagues that work for the Boren Awards. I just had an info session the second week of classes. I had quite a few students attend with one of their representatives who was amazing and who actually did Boren. And I can always pull those people in from the Defense Department, from IIE, to talk with students about Boren. So look at this website as well, because there's so much information on it. I would not be able to give, you know, detailed info. It would be easier to know what your interests are, what language you're interested in, and then we would take it from there. But Boren is open now, so it's something else to look at. And the third grant I want to mention.
Or before you leave Boren, can I
Oh,
just,
yeah, please.
so CLS happens in the summer. Boren
Yes.
is summer, or can that happen at other times of the year?
So Boren is open for the deadline, like I said, is end of January, early February. The Boren Awards is for programs that start in June of 2025 that run through spring 26. So any program that would start. So if there was potentially a summer program that you identify abroad, you could definitely apply for a Boren to study that language at that particular institution. It's just the identifying of the institution that could be a little tricky. However, Boren actually has a whole list of places that former Boren scholars have gone to, which makes it a heck of a lot easier because you could just pull the list up, kind of look over it, identify what language you want to study, and then see like, wow, they had, 50 Boren awards that went to Yonsei University in Seoul. I will apply there, and then you apply for that program and you apply for Boren for funding. And Boren, I should mention too, and I know I jump around a lot, but there's so many different grants. Boren does have a 1-year federal service requirement. It is part of the Department of Defense. You have to fulfill that 1-year federal service with any agency associated with the federal government. So it doesn't have to be the State Department or even Homeland Security. It could be the Peace Corps. It could be, my mind is going blank because it's almost 6:30. But there are so many different subsidiary organizations within the federal government that you can fulfill that 1-year requirement. With CLS, it's a State Department program, there is no federal service requirement, and the Fulbright, there's no federal service requirement either. So Boren, I do tend to get a lot of students that are in CHC or Rockefeller because their end goal is to work for the federal government or be an FSO or work in CIA, FBI, all of that. So Boren is really, really instrumental in their plan because you have non-competitive eligibility for jobs after that federal service requirement. CLS and Fulbright, while they don't have a requirement for federal service, you are part of the State Department at that point because you're a Fulbright or a CLS scholar from that point on. And you do have non-competitive eligibility for jobs within the federal government because you've already worked for the State Department. You don't have to ever work for the federal government if you don't want to, but it does open a lot of doors for you because you have these major grants and scholarships on your resume. And I can't tell you how many faculty I've talked to, worked with, talked in classes that say, like when we get applications for people looking for positions or even teaching positions, if they see that they had a federal grant, such as Boren, Fulbright, CLS, Gilman, they go to the top of the pile in terms of what they're looking for. So these are, while they're not quote unquote internship opportunities, they are opportunities that will get your foot in the door in a lot of organizations, or at least show you, if this is what you want to be doing, or maybe you'll start to love language learning and continue on that road. So you never know. Is it okay if I go to Fulbright now, Joan?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. I also can't see if there's any questions, but of course I can answer any questions. So this is the US Student Fulbright Program. You may have heard about Fulbright because I send numerous emails to all of my friends and staff at the university and your professors. So they probably have sent it to you at some way. You might have some familiarity with it. As you can see by the header on this website, my current cohort of applicants for the academic year 25-26 have till tomorrow to submit their applications, which is why I have lots of them emailing me right now because they're waiting till the last minute. Fulbright is also a very large grant application. It's a State Department funded program and probably one of the most prestigious awards that you can get. It is open to students who have at minimum a bachelor's degree. So I work with juniors and seniors because by the time the grant commences that you're applying for, you will have had graduated with your bachelor's. I work with grad students. I work with PhD students. Fulbright, the timing is always a little confusing when I'm explaining it. It works like a year and a half ahead. So the cohort, my group now that I've been working with since April, they are applying for AY25. So so if they got the award, they would be abroad fall 25 and spring 26. The next cycle of Fulbright is for AY 26-27. So say you could be a senior now and still apply, because I work with alumni as well. I actually had 2 alumni apply this last cycle. But if you're a junior, you would come to me in the spring semester of your junior year, and that's when you would start the application, because you'll be graduated by spring 26. That's probably your graduation. Maybe some of you fall 25, but the majority of you, if you're a junior, you're graduating in spring 26. So you would apply for that next cycle of Fulbright. So say it opens in April, in the spring, I start working with you, you submit in October during the fall 25 semester. You find out if you're a semifinalist in January of 26. And then sometime during spring 26, you find out if you got the award, and you'd go abroad fall 26 and spring 26. So it seems so far away, but that's how Fulbright runs. So what exactly is Fulbright? Fulbright offers thousands of grants all over the world. One is an English teaching assistantship. So it's an opportunity to be in a classroom as an assistant teacher, assisting in English language learning. You don't need to be in education to do that. You don't necessarily have to have tutoring experience or student teaching or anything like that. It's maybe you're in education, but maybe you're an English major, or you're a sociology major, or psychology, or whatever it may be. And you want to diversify your skills. Whatever discipline you come from, there's always opportunities, and even for us too, as professional staff, like to diversify our skills and learn new things. ETAs are very popular among students that have bachelor's degrees. So I do work with a lot of juniors and seniors on applications. Why not? It doesn't cost you anything to apply. And if you got an ETA grant, it's fully funded. So there's no out-of-pocket expense, and you get paid, which is very similar to CLS, except Fulbright is a full academic year, which is really, really nice. So it's something to apply for and kind of have in your back pocket as you move forward. You may be applying to graduate schools, you might get a job, but Fulbright is still potentially there if you get moved through to the semifinalist round and then to the country commission. They might decide to award you with a Fulbright grant, and then it completely changes your life. And it is an absolutely amazing opportunity. So I'll tell you about a little of that experience in a moment. I mentioned the ETAs, the English teaching assistantships. There's also funded research grants. So typically I'm working with master's or graduate level students and PhD students on open research grants. That doesn't necessarily prevent a bachelor's student from applying for a research grant. If you have a really solid proposal and you've been doing research, you've been demonstrating research capability throughout your years at UAlbany, it's a conversation that we have, but it's not off the table. And the third type is a funded master's degree, which is gaining more and more traction. More and more students are like, I'd love to do an ETA, and they're probably a little bit easier to acquire, but I would love to spend a year in Denmark getting my master's in business analytics, fully funded. Like, that's pretty amazing to think of, getting your master's degree funded and be abroad while you're doing it. That's just amazing. So there's lots of different things to look at with regard to Fulbright. I can show you here types of awards. Like, if I just there's so much information if you toggle on these. Why am I not? Oh, I'm looking for the interactive map. Sorry. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I think I was there before. So this is an interesting kind of summary a little bit about the ETA programs. And if you go down here, you'll find all of the different countries that are offering grants. And this is open now. This is for AY 25-26. But if you click on any of those regions, you'll see an interactive map, which is really cool. So the ones you're looking at here are currently open for ETA grants, or maybe for master's degree. As I click on Andorra, which is a principality, province in the north of Spain, they speak a variety of languages there. I had a student actually apply for this cohort for Andorra for ETA. So if you see here, they're offering 5. You click on it and there's an entire summary of what it's like, what's the profile, what is life like there, what is the language proficiency if needed, the type of school you would be placed in, any type of like supplementary project or community service. And then what's really important, I think, too, are the award benefits and the stipend amounts. This is for every single country that's offering grants. And you can just click on the region and see what's available. You could see in Jordan, they have 8 ETAs awarded for this year and 8 open study research, which is actually a lot. This is actually kind of a fun experience because you can kind of predetermine what countries you're interested in, what regions of the world you're interested in. You can make an Excel and list those countries, look to see if they have language requirements. The majority of them do not. I will say, though, if you want to apply anywhere in Latin America, Spain, you need to have intermediate to advanced Spanish, and you can't go to France without knowing French. But they're few and far between. The majority of countries do not have any language requirement, so that makes them very attractive for students. You can see here East Asia Pacific. I'll click on South Korea because it's obviously one of the most popular. I did have an ETA in South Korea 2 years ago. They have 75 awards available this cycle, which is really great, but they get hundreds of applications. So the ratio statistically, it's tough, but that doesn't mean you won't get one if you're very serious about it. And we put together a really solid application. If you look at some other countries, like Timor-Leste, they have 4 awards available and they probably get 6 to 7 applicants. So you can see statistically, it would probably be better to apply there. What I want to encourage students to think about when they're looking at the Fulbright website, there's 2 things. One is you might have like a gut feeling or a heartfelt reason for applying for a particular country, whatever that may be. It could be a very, very competitive country, depending on statistically how many people are applying. Or on the flip side, you can be one of those students that will just go anywhere. That your purpose is you want to live abroad for a year, you want to gain cultural competencies, you want to gain language skills, you want to step out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you're that person, you look at these undersubscribed grants because they give you more of an opportunity statistically. If you're, really set on applying to Spain or Brazil or India or South Korea, some of the really, really popular ones, we just put together a really solid application like we would if you were applying to Timor-Leste. It doesn't matter, but you really have to think long and hard about it before you make a decision, of where you're going to apply. Now, this mostly, I think, aligns with the ETA. If you're applying for a funded master's degree, it's much more specific because you'll be looking at, very specific, programs in very specific universities and colleges. And I want to highlight to you the United Kingdom because it is so incredibly competitive. A lot of universities and colleges, they're offering funded master's degrees. You can see here, they're only offering 1. You see that? They're only offering 1. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, right, to go through all of these. If you go down to the bottom of the website, and the bottom banner here, you see a link, a hyperlink for statistics. And I just like to show students this that might not have any familiarity with the UK for their master's programs to just kind of look at the numbers. So I have to move my screen over. As you can see, they give out 1 award and you see like Durham had 29 applicants. Imperial College London had 47. That's a lot. King's College London 22. The London School of Economics had 100 applicants last year for one award. But then you go down to Newcastle, which is a really awesome university. They only had 13. I mean, it's still only one award, but that's better than some of the other ones. So you just see the numbers here of stats of like how many people have applied. University College London, 116 applicants. Then you go down to Birmingham, they only had 15. So I always tell students, if but maybe you're interested in something like food security, maybe you're a globalization major like my discipline, or political science, or you're worried about conservation or consumerism or whatever that may be. The University of Reading Award in food security, to have a master's in something that specific and amazing, that's a really cool thing. That's something that you would learn so much in, and that would definitely diversify you as a person and with your skills and your knowledge base. They only had 4 people apply last cycle, which is really, really awesome. So you could just kind of take a look at everything. There's so much on the website, and it's, just closing now for the cycle that I'm in right now. And I'm sorry, it's so dark in here. It's getting dark so quickly at home. It's very difficult to talk with students about anything regarding Fulbright until we look at it, until we really kind of narrow down what you're, and you have time because it's just closing. So if you are a junior or a senior and you're interested, please contact me in like March during your spring semester. I will put you on my listserv so you get all of my emails about when Fulbright is opening. And then we start to work together. And it's like, why not? And even if you're a senior, you're graduating in May, you could still apply for Fulbright. I had a student just apply, and she's graduated 5 years ago. I had a student that applied one time and didn't get it, and then applied the next year, and she did get it. I had a student in Romania last year and in South Korea. And I have a student that just got to Indonesia about 4 weeks ago for her ETA in Indonesia. So we're really excited about that too. So there's just so many possibilities. And I know that was a ton of information, and I appreciate your kind attention. It's a ton of information, but I love working with students on grants applications, especially mine, because they're funded. That's really cool. Yeah. So are there any questions?
Any questions in the room? Raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, you can use the raise your hand feature or type them into the chat if you've got any questions. So any questions for Jacqueline about any of these programs or the application process? I don't see any questions on Zoom.
No, I didn't see any.
So the thing that I want to say is if learning another language, if doing a study abroad, if like you want to do a study abroad on, I almost call it study abroad on steroids, because it's like, it's more, these programs are so much more than a typical study abroad. Not that those aren't a fabulous experience, but if you really have an interest in international affairs or global issues, no matter what your career goals are, these programs can really set you apart in terms of like your long-term career goals. And this kind of experience to learn some of these unique languages that, you can't study in college. Like colleges don't offer most of these languages. I mean, French they do, but like, so many of these languages you can't study on campus. So it really gives you a chance to learn that. Question. So she said the Fulbright is just for the whole year, right? There's not a semester long option for
Yeah,
Fulbright?
Fulbright is an academic year. It depends on where you go to. Majority of them follow very similar calendars to our academic year. Some of them are a little bit different. Like if you went to New Zealand or Australia to do a master's or something, like they start in like January. It's different, and Korea is a little bit different as well. But the majority of them are like ours. And yeah, you have to complete the whole academic year.
And I think one of the things, if you think about it, if it's something that you're going to do, some of them you do while you're still a student. Fulbright is something that you would finish your bachelor's first. But if you think about it, it's a fully funded program. So if you're delaying your graduation a little bit, or in that case, it's kind of becomes a gap year between that and your master's, or between getting your bachelor's and getting a job, it does, just remember they're fully funded. So it's not like you have to figure out how you're going to pay for this. It's an opportunity to get this experience without any out of pocket, which makes it so much more accessible for
Right.
really anybody.
Yeah, and even them, they are competitive, right? But I'm getting students left and right that are winning these awards. So it's, for me, it's like, why not try? There's so many more. I'm getting so excited about it, but I do wear so many hats in my office. I wish I could just do this, because there's other grants that I'm finding out about, and like the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program. I didn't even mention that. There's so many that I would love to work with you guys on. I look like a demon, Joan.
You
literally.
do. You need to get some lighting in your house.
I can't, because I'd have to go across the room and.
That's okay. Can you give us a 2-minute synopsis of Rangel?
Yeah, could you hold on 1 second? Oops, sorry. I was looking for my dog. I thought he like ran out, but he's right here. Sorry. You were saying?
You give us just give us a quick 2-minute synopsis of Rangel.
So there is a Rangel Fellowship Award. Students a lot of money to become a Rangel Fellow for graduate study if you're interested in working for the federal government. But Rangel also has a summer enrichment program, which is really cool. Joan and I had a student that we both worked with very closely that had a Rangel some years back now it's before the pandemic. We're getting old, Joan.
Oh, yeah.
That she did the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program, which is really nice because you take some classes and you also have meetings with representatives of Congress, the Supreme Court, just learning like a deep dive into our government, into our federal system and how it operates, and a couple of classes as well. I think you can get transfer credit for those classes. Potentially, I'm sure they have a university of record that we could work with to get transfer credit if you need it. But I believe the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program is open now. I'd have to find that link, or maybe Joan can find it to share with you guys. I'm very happy to work with you on that as well. But if you are interested in learning more about our federal government, how it operates, that kind of thing, or maybe you are interested in learning more just in DC in general, I do not believe that it's open only to students of political science or public policy. I think it's open to students of all disciplines. It also has a marker for students that have high financial need, and they also really celebrate any diversity. So if you have any of those components, definitely think about applying as well, because it's very important to the Rangel program.
And go to DC for the summer. It's a good
And
deal.
you get to go to DC for the summer. It's fully funded. So there's no out-of-pocket.
And that
expense.
is
And then that student that
as an undergrad, right?
yes, you have to be a minimum. I think you have to be and there is a GPA requirement for Rangel, but I don't know if they've changed it for the summer enrichment program, but it used to be 3.2. And the student that we worked with that did that program, she ended up going on to get a Fulbright ETA in Taiwan. So any of these smaller grant program scholarships sometimes can lead to the bigger ones. So you might as well apply for all of them.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Yes.
So specific that there's not a lot of like academic work.
So he said, what if there's a language that you're interested in, but it's so specific, there's not a lot of academic learning? Do you have an example?
Say that again. Is there a language?
Hold on 1 second. The Amazigh language group, is that familiar? Is that a part of either of those programs?
No, I mean, for Boren, it could be. I'm not going to say that it's not. I'm just looking for the CLS website. I would check with Boren because they have so many different languages.
Got a broader range.
Much broader range for Boren. For CLS, as I showed you guys, the languages are on the homepage right here on the right-hand side they offer.
Okay. But one of the things that
Boren is much more expansive.
Boren is more expansive. So
Absolutely.
the thing is, if you have any interest in any of this, schedule a time to go meet with Jacqueline. How do they arrange, like, what are your office hours, or how do they schedule an appointment with you, Jacqueline?
Oh, I just give them my email. My office hours are random.
Okay, so there you go. There's her email. And Jacqueline, you said you would send me just like a summary email with all those website links, and we'll share that with you guys. So
I
that
could certainly do that. Yeah, that would be probably
just
very
send it
useful
to
for them.
Christina and me, and we'll forward it on to everybody in the class with all of those websites. You can go peruse them a little bit. It'll have Jacqueline's contact information. So if you're interested in any of these things, and like she said, she threw a lot of information out at you. That's
Yeah.
okay. No one, there will be no tests. You can go talk to her and say,
Oh, you're getting a quiz right now.
it was really interesting. I don't remember which one. And you can have a conversation, and she can, she's been working with, how long have you been working with students doing these grants?
Since 2014.
So 10 years.
God, that long.
So lots of experience. She's helped a lot of students apply. A lot of students get these grants.
And Joan has been so helpful with all of this. She even does workshops with me to help students learn how to write.
I just did our how do I write a personal statement workshop.
I love it. Well, yeah, I'll definitely send the information to you, Joan, and I hope to see you guys for CLS. Yeah, and it's been really nice being here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Joan.
And, they're clapping in the room, and
yay, you guys are great.
We will. I'll forward on the information you send, and then anyone who has questions can go chat with her. So
thank you.